welcome to another Skulls and Bones video, and today's video will be covering the combat and essentially how we got to this point. So the game so far feels very arcadey, also very grindy before you can get to this point. I mean, it took me maybe like half an hour to get our first ship. It's not... Look, it feels like a 2010 game, I'll be honest here, right? You're very limited as to what you can do in terms of ground combat. Like, there is no ground combat, it's only ship combat, right? You cannot go and visit the islands and, for example, farm resources. And you can only go to towns that are designated where your character can explore, right? You cannot board other ships like you could in Assassin's Creed, so it's very, very limited as to what you can do, right? So, first and foremost, let's just start with shipbuilding, how we got to this point. So, right from the get-go, you'll be given this ship here, and then essentially you arrive at a battlefield and the game will ask you to go and find the remaining British fleet. And then all of that will end up in an ambush, which will get absolutely obliterated, as you can see currently on the screen. So following the demise of your ship and your crew, you wash ashore essentially. And here the game will ask you to create a character of your choice. The choices are not very overwhelming, maybe because it's just the beta. There should be a lot more cosmetics options available. But the system itself is very simplistic and straightforward. Shortly after you create your character, you will meet your two companions. They will serve you basically as guides and crewmates at the start of the beta here, and I'm guessing it will be the same start when the finished product arrives as well. And they will pretty much guide you throughout the story, and from there on you just set up on an adventure. So you'll be given this little boat to begin with, and from there on you go on some very simple fetch tasks. The first one being to board this vessel here, so you can go and retrieve some map, so you can discover the location of essentially the next quest in the line here. And that brings us to the island of Saint Anne. The islands of Saint Anne serves as an early game hub. Here the game will bring you to introduce you to all of the various vendors on the island. So you have mail, you have warehouse, there's like multiple bars, there is a blacksmith, there is a shipbuilder. So all you would expect from an RPG. Now unfortunately your exploration is very limited to these main towns and areas, i.e. hubs. You cannot just go on any island and explode like you could in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So it's very, very restrictive, right? The companions themselves are very, how do I say, plain? The writing is not spectacular. I mean, I wouldn't expect it from a Ubisoft game anyway. There is nothing special about them for you to care. Right away, you land on this island and it's all very cliche. You'll be walking past and people will be eyeballing you and spitting on the ground and telling you won't last very long. And it's just typical cliche start, right? Then you have to go and visit the big bad guy of this setting, or should I say the main pirate of the island. Here, once again, another cliche introduction. You have to go hand him over the letter, and then he'll ask you what your aspirations are as a pirate. And then you can tell him whether you're up for the blood or you want to become the greatest pirate, blah, 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 blah. You know how this story goes. And then he'll say, oh no, we can't just give you a ship. You have to go out there and get out there and prove yourself. Which then brings us to the next phase of the quest. So, back to the vendors here. Once again, very cliche written. They talk the big talk. Sometimes they'll swear at you. They'll ask you to go out and fetch some stuff. And then off you go. So, the fetching quests themselves, once again, nothing spectacular. They're very limited as to what they can do. They'll tell you to go and, for example, fetch wood from the islands, and this is what it consists of. So it's essentially a mini game, how you harvest your resources. Sometimes you may find them on the ground, but it's not very interesting, right? The game, I think, puts all eggs of in one basket, right, and that's combat. So once you're done fetching all of the items, you will then need to go back to these vendors, and then the vendors will ask you to drop off whatever they ask you to fetch in the first place, and then you'll be given some rewards, and which in turn you can buy some schematics from for whether to create cannons, or increase the hull health on your ship or armor, whatever the case may be, right? All of this is very ship oriented, right? It has nothing to do for your characters. Your characters are only there cosmetic. They're just there as placeholders, right? As I said, the game puts all of its eggs in one basket, and that is combat. So once you've obtained all of the items, the game will then ask you to equip your ship, and this is a fairly straightforward process. It's all accessed through one menu. It's not rocket science, right? I mean, it's not the friendliest UI either, so hopefully they'll make it a bit more user friendly by the time the game releases. So as you can see here, you just gotta click and drag, or just click on whatever you want to do. If there's an icon there, that means there's already occupied, so you have to put the cannons elsewhere. Here I have the hull armor that I created. As you can see there, it's not rocket science, right? Very, very, very straightforward. The rest of the stuff, it's all cosmetics that you have to earn throughout the game. And that brings us to the combat itself. As I said earlier, it feels very, very, very arcadey. This honestly truly feels like a game that was made 10 years ago, rather than a game that took 10 years to make, right? It's a bit of a paradox that I know. Even here, right, you can see it gives you an option to board, but really by then the fight's over and the crew just pulls the ship, and then you get hit by another menu telling you that was successful and you get some extra items. This is essentially the full extent of the game so far that I've seen, right? So don't expect some great grand conquest or some great storyline. I think this will be a multiplayer game through and through, just absolute mayhem. A couple of ships just going at it, right? Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. I think I still have another 4.5 hours left on the beta, so I'll keep exploring and hopefully it gets better with time. Right now, as it stands, it's hard to justify this game. Anyways, thank you for watching. Catch you in the next video. Peace.